The rain tapped against the glass roof of my kitchen in Portland, Oregon, like a metronome counting down my heartbeat. I reached for my mug, but the counter tilted under me, my vision swimming in static. Before I could steady myself, the sliding door hissed open. My daughter-in-law, Mara, froze, then clutched her chest and collapsed like a stage actress at curtain call. While my son fumbled for 911 and Silas ran to her side, I was left gripping the counter, the actual sick one ignored again. And as the paramedics swarmed Mara with oxygen masks and questions, I whispered to myself, "She's stealing my symptoms." What I didn't know yet was that this wasn't just attention-seeking. It was the opening act of a plan to erase me entirely. My name is Iris Lowell, 72 years old, retired forensic auditor for a pharmaceutical firm. Translation: I used to make a living catching the little tricks companies pulled with their pill data. Now, apparently, I'm the one being played. That Tuesday morning, I wasn't just dizzy. I was aware. Every time my body betrayed me, Mara somehow managed to collapse louder, harder, shinier. Last spring, I fainted on the porch. She staged a full-blown seizure in the driveway. 2 months ago, I ended up in urgent care with chest tightness. She flatlined on the waiting room floor until an entire trauma team swarmed her. And each time, guess who got the bed, the wires, the Roman IV fluids? Not me. Now, you'd think my partner of 12 years, Silas, might have noticed the pattern. But no, he fussed over Mara like she was a priceless vase about to crack. He even started helping me with my medications. First, it was let me set up your pill box so you don't double dose. Sweet, right? Except I've been handling meds since before Mara was even born, I don't forget. Then came the upgrade, a SmartPill lattice, an electronic dispenser with an app. Silas insisted on linking it to his phone. "So I can keep you on track," he said. Track me, yes, but was he tracking my health or scripting it? That night, lying awake with rain scratching the skylight, I opened the app myself. The timestamps didn't match when I'd actually taken the pills. According to the log, I'd swallowed doses hours before I touched them. Some entries even doubled. A chill crawled down my spine. If the app was lying, someone was feeding it the lies. And in my house, only 2 people had access, Silas, who programmed the dispenser, and Mara, who never seemed sick until I was. So I did what I used to do best. I started documenting. Every dizzy spell, every time Mara collapsed, every pill drop from that dispenser, I wrote it down. The numbers weren't just strange. They were forming a pattern, and in my world, patterns meant fraud. Only this time, the fraud wasn't cooking books. It was cooking me. By the end of that week, my notebook looked less like a diary and more like a case file. Dates, times, pill logs, Mara's episodes, Silas's sudden kindnesses, they all lined up like a criminal ledger. But suspicion is cheap. Proof, that's what gets convictions. So I called in an old friend. Doctor, Letta Kincaid, toxicology specialist, now running a small lab in town. We met in a coffee shop, rain streaking down the window like prison bars. "Letta," I said, sliding a sandwich bag across the table. Hypothetically, if someone wanted to make an old woman look sick without killing her right away, what would they use? She didn't even open the bag before answering. Digitalis. Classic. Small doses mimic heart problems, dizziness, nausea, hard to spot in routine labs. I tapped the bag. "Then test these. My blood pressure pills." Her eyebrows rose. When the results came back 2 days later, the message was short, not blood pressure meds. Digoxin compounds microdosed. That was the moment my stomach truly dropped. I wasn't just being ignored, I was being engineered. I dug deeper. The SmartPill app showed phantom doses logged at times I wasn't even home. I checked Silas's tablet while he showered. Hidden folder, search history full of elder decline symptoms and memory care admission requirements. And Mara, billing records at local hospitals under 3 different surnames. each tied to panic attacks and cardiac episodes that never required follow-up. Fraud on top of fraud. It wasn't just attention-seeking anymore. It was cover. They wanted me declared incompetent, too dizzy, too paranoid, too senile to handle my own affairs. Once I was inside a memory care facility, they could dose me however they liked. No questions, no witnesses. So I reached out to someone who actually believed older people still had sharp minds. Detective Solange Mercer, Elder Services Unit. She listened without interrupting while I spread my notes across her desk like evidence in a trial. She leaned back, arms folded. "Mrs. Lowell, you've basically built us a prosecution binder, but we'll need them to incriminate themselves. Are you willing to play along a little longer?" Play along. Meaning, swallow more fake pills, sit through more of Mara's Broadway collapses, pretend not to notice my own slow-motion murder. I smiled, though my hands trembled under the table. Detective, I didn't spend 30 years catching corporations cooking numbers just to get outplayed in my own kitchen. Tell me what you need me to do. And with that, the trap began to take shape, quiet, careful, hidden in the shadows of my own home. The morning of the memory evaluation felt like stepping onto a stage I hadn't auditioned for. Silas poured me chamomile tea, his hand just a shade too steady. I lifted the cup, tasted bitterness that didn't belong. I set it down. Not today. Downstairs, I caught Mara's whisper. "If she's too sharp, we up the dose in the car." Every hair on my arm stood up. They weren't nervous caregivers. They were handlers preparing a transfer. At the clinic, the fluorescent lights hummed overhead as a psychiatrist arranged word tests and picture cards. Mara sat to my right, Silas hovering behind me like a warden. Their eyes flicked to each other, waiting for me to stumble. Then Mara made her move. She unscrewed a water bottle, slid it toward me. Her smile was sweet, but her thumb pressed too long on the cap, just enough to release a tiny capsule hidden inside. I fumbled the bottle, let it crash to the floor. Clear liquid splashed across the tile. Under the harsh light, a faint green shimmer floated on the surface. The doctor blinked. "That's unusual." I leaned back, voice steady. "Detective, I think this is your cue." The side door opened. Detective Solange Mercer stepped in, flanked by 2 officers. She held up the chain of custody bag I'd given her. My fake pill coated with invisible dye. "Mr. Hart," she said, turning to Silas, "would you care to explain why your fingerprints match this capsule? Or why your SmartPill account pushed a firmware update the night before her last dizzy spell?" Silas froze. Mara's breath came in quick bursts. "Check her bag," Solange instructed. Inside Mara's purse, blister packs with falsified labels and insurance cards under 3 surnames. The room tilted, not from poison this time, but from vindication. For months, they'd staged collapses and spoon-fed me toxins, and now, under sterile clinic lights, the performance collapsed with them. Mara broke first, voice cracking. "It wasn't supposed to kill her, just make her easier to control." The doctor's pen clattered to the desk. Silas muttered something about a misunderstanding, but the evidence already spoke louder than he ever could. For the first time in months, I wasn't the one being examined. They were. The ride to the precinct was the quietest I'd ever seen Mara. No swooning, no gasps, no theatrical chest clutching. Just cold wrists in steel cuffs. Silas tried to lawyer up before he even hit the interrogation chair, but Solange already had the timeline, the SmartPill logs, and the toxicology results locked tight. Behind the glass, I watched him unravel. "Those pills weren't poison," he insisted. "Then explain why they contain concentrated digoxin compounds," Solange replied, sliding the lab report across the table. He swallowed hard. In the next room, Mara cracked wide open. Between sobs, she spilled it all. The fake collapses, the hospital fraud, the plan to get me declared incompetent and committed so they could access my accounts. It was supposed to look natural, she whispered. Old people die of heart trouble all the time. Old people, as if I were just a statistic in their balance sheet. 3 weeks later, the courtroom held its breath as I delivered my victim impact statement. My hands didn't shake. For months, I was slowly poisoned in my own home, gaslit into thinking I was losing my mind. They didn't just try to take my health. They tried to take my dignity, my autonomy, and my son's trust, but they made one mistake. I turned, looked straight at Mara and Silas. They underestimated the woman they were trying to erase. The jury took less than 4 hours, guilty on all counts, attempted murder, elder abuse, medical fraud, conspiracy. Silas, 20 years. Mara, 17. No parole until at least 15. As the bailiff led them away, Mara tried one last act. "You can't prove we really meant to kill you," she shouted. I held up my notebook, the same one that had tracked every dizzy spell, every false collapse, every lie. "Sweetheart," I said, my voice carrying through the chamber, "I already did." 6 months after the trial, the rain in Portland sounded different. Not like a threat tapping at my windows, but like applause. Soft, steady, reminding me I was still here. My house felt lighter without Silas's shadow. The SmartPill dispenser sat unplugged on the counter, replaced by a simple glass jar with labels I wrote myself. Some things don't need upgrading, but I hadn't fought this hard just to sip tea alone. With the settlement money and a modest grant, I launched the Beacon Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to detecting and preventing elder abuse. Detective Mercer signed on as director of training. Letter ran the toxicology arm. Together, we trained social workers, doctors, and even bank tellers how to recognize the signs that someone wasn't just aging, they were being sabotaged. At our first seminar, a woman in her 60s approached me, voice trembling. "My daughter-in-law keeps fainting every time I feel sick. I thought it was just bad luck." I pressed a new notebook into her hands. "It's not bad luck, it's a pattern. Write it down, we'll help you prove it." That night, sitting by my kitchen window, I realized survival hadn't just given me back my life, it had given me a mission. Mara and Silas wanted me silenced, erased. Instead, they handed me a megaphone. The best revenge isn't living well. It's living long, loud, and unignorable, and I intend to do all three.